Activision wasn't big enough? Microsoft wants to go bigger, apparently. Alright, this one was blowing up the feeds, and so it's time to sort of dig into this rumor or editorial or whatever you want to call it, because it's absurd. So, Reuters put out an editorial, if you want to call it that the next on Microsoft's shopping list will be Netflix. And friends, I am here to tell you that that's not happening. Like, this doesn't make sense. Now, let's sort of dive into the post, and I will explain very clearly and very logically why this will not happen, given a preponderance of evidence. So first off, it's been blowing up, obviously, that Microsoft is trying to buy Activision, and they've been stuck in the courts, and that's only $70 billion, which will become important here. But earlier this year, Microsoft made a deal with Netflix. Now, this deal, if you will, was that Microsoft was going to be the ad supplying partner for Netflix, and they were going to be doing a lot of the back-end work and the technology and the infrastructure and all that good stuff. And so, because they have that deal, why wouldn't Microsoft just buy Netflix? Well, I will tell you why, because it doesn't even make sense, like, financially, and I don't even know where Microsoft would get the money. So, Microsoft has bought a lot of large companies, such as LinkedIn for $26.2 billion. They bought Nuance for $20 billion, and they've bought many others for the billions of dollars. So why not go bigger? Why wouldn't Microsoft just aim for the stars, if you will, with Netflix? Well, this editorial has a very big flaw, and it relates to how they calculated Microsoft can't afford this, because according to the Post, they say that Netflix is worth about $190 billion if you're going to acquire it with a 30% premium, and the premium is there because you can't just pay the stock price, because when you start buying the stock, as Microsoft could if you were doing a hostile takeover as an example, the price will go up some, and Microsoft also has to pay a premium to get the shareholders to buy in, because hey, they like a premium and it just makes things life easy. So according to the Post, it says with a market value 13 times that of Netflix, as of early December, 1.8 trillion Microsoft can afford Netflix. Microsoft can afford a Netflix because its market cap is 1.8 trillion and Netflix is only 190 billion. Friends, that is not how market cap works. Market cap is the current share price times the outstanding shares, meaning shares that are available to the public that are currently owned. And so you multiply that together and you get 1.8 trillion. That is not how much money Microsoft has and can afford to buy other companies. First off, I looked at Microsoft's financial statements. You know, just something you might do if you're going to say Microsoft can afford a $190 billion company. And how much cash does Microsoft have on hand? Well, it's about $107 billion in cash. Now, that is dramatically short of $190 billion. So where's the rest of that money going to come from? Well, you could sell bonds, you could sell other assets, you could do other things, but Microsoft just can't afford to leverage 100%, if it even had $190 billion in cash, to leverage all that money buying a single asset. Not to mention, they're still trying to spend $70 billion on Activision. It's just glossing over that fact that Microsoft has a significant shortfall of cash to make this even remotely possible. Not to mention, friends, Microsoft is in the business of trying to create high margin business. Now, what is margin? Margin is the amount of money you actually make when you sell a single unit. So if you sell it for $1, and you need to make, well, if you sell for $30, you make 30 cents on the dollar, right? Is something Microsoft tries to do, that they have over 30% margin. What is Netflix's margin? Netflix's margin is 16%, or roughly half what Microsoft likes its business units to be. Now, you could make the argument, my friends, that when they buy Netflix, they'll bring it all over to Azure, and that will lower the cost and increase their margin. That is absolutely true, but I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but the consumer streaming market is saturated, it's messy, and it's not getting better. Realistically, the peak, at least the realistic short-time peak, was probably during the peak of the pandemic, right? That would make a lot of sense. Right now, there is massive competition in this segment. And Microsoft, why would they buy them? First off, Microsoft doesn't exactly have a great history when it comes to consumer services. Yeah, Xbox is actually a complete outlier from Microsoft's history. You could look at Zune Music, which then got rebranded to Xbox Music because they tried to leverage Xbox Music, and that completely flopped. You can look at Band, their health wearable, that flopped. You can look at Windows Phone, that flopped. Microsoft doesn't do well in the consumer space. Surface is, again, a bit of an outlier, but I believe most of that revenue, it's at least around 50% last I remember, was coming from the business side, which is what Microsoft knows and does exceptionally well, is enterprise technology, not consumer technology. And so, yeah. Why would Microsoft buy Netflix? Well, Brad, they're trying to break into the consumer brands, and they're going to do that. Buy Spotify. Don't spend $190 billion on a streaming service in a highly competitive. Can you imagine a worse set of competitions? Like, we're going to buy this company. Great. Who are their market comparables? Well, you have Apple. You have Disney, you have every other network television, NBC, CBS, like the whole gamut is against Netflix. Netflix was just early, or for the most part early, and they had some good product, and they were there with the DVDs by mail, except for Quickster. We'll just forget about that. And they were kind of early to the scene, and that's why it worked out. But right now, they are now competing and bidding against Apple, everybody in the segment for quality brand shows. Like if you have a TV show you want to bring to market, you can go to Netflix and go to Apple, you can go to NBC. It's not a good purchase. It doesn't fit Microsoft's model. Not to mention, how hard is it for Microsoft to actually buy Activision? And that is only $70 billion. Only $70 billion. Let's add another $120 billion to the acquisition cost, and we'll just sail right through the courts. The most absurd thing is that Microsoft putting this on the shopping list for 2023 is that there's no way they could actually close it in 2023. Look how long it's actually taking to close Activision. It is over a year. If Microsoft wanted to buy Netflix, I guess maybe you could go by the announcement date. That's when they acquired them. But we all know in reality, it's actually when the check gets cut and the money is transferred. And that will take longer than a year because the EU, the FTC, and Brazil, probably Saudi Arabia too, would be like, bro, you're not buying Netflix. Like this is too big. You're becoming too powerful. And that's assuming that they don't get to buy Activision. If they do get to buy Activision, it's like this. Yeah, that's, it wasn't supposed to really be like just a running rant. But I just hope that now when people say, Brad, is Microsoft actually going to buy Netflix? I can link to this because, again, the post itself is more it's not more speculative. It is speculation that this is what Microsoft's going to do. It is not. It is not what they're going to do. Amy Hood is not going to let anybody. I don't even know what division this would fall. Would this be an Xbox in the Xbox org, or would it be under Windows? Like, Microsoft doesn't have a streaming consumer video service. It's not gaming, so Xbox doesn't really fit well. And Microsoft has already learned the hard way that just because you slap Xbox branding on something, Xbox Music, it doesn't necessarily make it a success. What are they going to slap Skype on there? I don't know. I don't know where they would. More personal computing is probably where they're going to do it. But if you're spending $190 billion, it better be a primary line of business. And my friends, it would not be at Microsoft. So, yeah, that is Microsoft not buying Netflix in 2023. I just don't think it's going to happen. I mean, Santa's Workshop here, if you're depending on when you're watching this, is the holiday times, and acquisition news has been all the rage. But this one, I don't think it is. So, while I would say the only BS on this channel is me, the Microsoft buying Netflix is also BS. And so, there you go. Hit that subscribe button.